Footsteps on Fulham Road, moonlight on my pride. Wore this badge through highs and lows, never had to hide. Memories in Stamford breeze echo through my chest. Not every win is sweet, but I gave my all, no less. We sang through the rain, we danced through the pain. The pitch still remembers my name. Still blue through the silence and the roar. Still blue even when we don't score. I carry the soul of the shedding crew. You can't shake me, I'm still blue. Still here, still true. Woke up to the chance, paint cracked on my wall, but the pride in my heart never faded at all. Jersey frayed at the seams, but it still feels right. Been through darkest nights, still shining bright. We bled in the game, we rose with no shame. The bridge still whispers my name. Still blue, every tear and every cheer. Still blue, with my voice loud and clear. I carry the pride of the shedding crew. Win or lose, I'm still blue. From Drogba's fire to Reetz's run, we stood tall under every sun. Through Abramovich nights to new days begun, this heart beats for only one. Still blue, even when they don't believe. Still blue, every year we grieve and dream. I carry the hope of the shedding crew, born for this, I'm still blue. Still blue. Footsteps on Fulham Road, moonlight on my pride. Wore this badge through highs and lows, never had to hide. Memories in Stamford breeze echo through my chest. Not every win is sweet, but I gave my all, no less. We sang through the rain, we danced through the pain. The pitch still remembers my name. Still blue through the silence and the roar. Still blue even when we don't score. I carry the soul of the shedding crew. You can't shake me, I'm still blue. Still here, still true. Woke up to the chance, paint cracked on my wall, but the pride in my heart never faded at all. Jersey frayed at the seams, but it still feels right. Been through darkest nights, still shining bright. We bled in the game, we rose with no shame. The bridge still whispers my name. Still blue, every tear and every cheer. Still blue, still blue. From Drogba's fire to Ritz's run, we stood tall under every sun. Through Abramovich nights to new days begun, this heart beats for only one. Still blue, even when they don't believe. Still blue, every year we grieve and dream. I carry the hope of the shed and crew, born for this, I'm still blue. Still blue. Still blue. Footsteps on Fulham Road, moonlight on my pride. Wore this badge through highs and lows, never had to hide. Memories in Stamford breeze echo through my chest. Not every win is sweet, but I gave my all, no less. We sang through the rain, we danced through the pain. The pitch still remembers my name. Still blue, through the silence and the roar. Still blue, even when we don't score. I carry the soul of the shedding crew. You can't shake me, I'm still blue. Still here, still true. Woke up to the chance, paint cracked on my wall, but the pride in my heart never faded at all. Jersey frayed at the seams, but it still feels right. Been through darkest nights, still shining bright. We bled in the game, we rose with no shame. The bridge still whispers my name. Still blue, every tear and every cheer. Still blue, with my voice loud and clear. I carry the pride of the shed and crew. Win or lose, I'm still blue. From Drogba's fire to Ritz's run, we stood tall under every sun. Through Abramovich nights to new days begun, this heart beats for only one. Still blue, even when they don't believe. Still blue, every year we grieve and dream. I carry the hope of the shed and crew, born for this, I'm still blue. Still blue. Still blue. Footsteps on Fulham Road, moonlight on my pride. Wore this badge through highs and lows, never had to hide. Memories in Stamford breeze echo through my chest. Not every win is sweet, but I gave my all, no less. We sang through the rain, we danced through the pain. The pitch still remembers my name. Still blue through the silence and the roar. Still blue even when we don't. Still blue. Footsteps on Fulham Road, moonlight on my pride. Wore this badge through highs and lows, never had to hide. Memories in Stamford breeze echo through my chest. Not every win is sweet, but
Yes, good people, big up to all of you. Welcome back to Chelsea Perspective. It's been a minute, but welcome for another edition of the Blue Morning Show. Dark times for all of us Chelsea fans, but we'll get through it. Together we can. I don't think this is something that has never happened before to the club. It has, but I don't think it's also okay for it to be happening season after season, and people have every right to feel the way they feel right now about the ownership, the sporting directors. And in all honesty, I'm going to say this quickly. I really wanted to support Liam, but he was the architect of his own downfall. And we will get to that in a bit. But before we continue, it's important that I say hello to all of you that are already in the chat, because that's how we operate here. So let's see who's already there. A lot of people losing their SHIT. Yeah, Iraola and Marco Silva being considered they never learn. I wouldn't actually consider that as they never learn. They've hired worse managers with less experience before. You're talking about managers who are, you could argue, 10 times more experienced than the managers we've seen them hire. Yeah, except for Thomas Tuchel, maybe Maresca. So those, but here's the thing: the names being mentioned at this point, I'm just gonna take them with a pinch of salt. I'm not gonna take them seriously. We've been there before. I remember the season where one Argentine, what's his name again? Upset tiki taka obsessed manager that was coaching, I think River Plate at the time, was being mentioned. At some point, we heard that there are names we heard at the time that were on the verge of becoming Chelsea's next manager, and it didn't happen. So at this point, everything you see, for me, I'd say don't bet your life on it, especially if it's coming from Graham Belly. Yeah, but that's by the way. Let's see in the matter for I'm glad Rosenior is gone. I'm glad he's gone. I wanted to support him, and I'm still going to let you know this. I think he's a very intelligent manager, but he was too eager to prove. You can say he's better than his predecessor, so was too quick to implement his system. You could argue the excellent start to life as Chelsea manager, because you cannot say he didn't start well. He started very well, so well that he was even nominated for the Manager of the Month award. He was that good. Maybe he was high on that excellent start, and then felt like the players that bought into his ideas. Yeah, that it's about time he goes full throttle, and it turns out it was a huge mistake. And that started with dropping Robert Sanchez for Philip Jorgensen against PSG. I don't think we've been able to recover to that loss from that loss against PSG. Had he taken things slowly, be a bit more pragmatic, I think he'd still be here and we'd still be doing well. But I think the biggest problem was that he was in a hurry to implement his style. And when I saw at some point it was clear that the players actually they stopped trusting him, and that which was why I was calling for him to be fired even before the Man City game, because when he gets to that point where players stops trusting them, where players stop trusting the manager, it takes a lot to fix. You see that you overhaul the squad to get in players that will respect and trust the manager, or you let go the manager, which is usually the easier fix, so to speak. So, but that's by the way, where we are right now. I'm looking forward to next season. That's why I'm a Chelsea supporter, irrespective of what has happened. It's painful. Sometimes, to a certain extent, I love this club so much that it actually affects mental health. It says Blue Co needs to change the strategy. Last chance for them. Don't get it wrong, Blue Co. You think they won't change it? I'm going to say this because I said because we had a debate. You can say I've gone back and forth on X with regards to clubs' finances, and somebody was sounding as if they on papers made a mistake and lost that much money. Context, they say, matters. They made a lot of mistake, and I don't blame anybody calling them stupid. But in terms of, you could say, there are things they've done to proven, yeah, they're actually smart, but they're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. They say, listen, the smartest people actually make the stupidest mistakes, if that makes sense to you. But I'm not here to come tell you how smart they are. They've made a mistake and it will be there, and I can't change it, and they can't change it. They can only fix it by doing things differently and maybe achieve good results, and then fans will forgive them. So they deserve whatever stick they're getting from the fans at the moment. I hope we don't lose Kuko and Enzo. I think Enzo might. I think he chances are he'd leave in the summer. But one thing I've always told people is that yeah, if he leaves, it will be on Chelsea's own terms. So I'm very tired. It will be on Chelsea's own conditions, on the club's conditions, not his. You can say, talk for them all he wants. Say 1,000 times how much he'd like to leave in Madrid and all that. I don't think Chelsea will sell him for an L. I get it. People will bring up the rules that says after 2 years. I can't quite, off the top of my head, I can't remember what that term is called. That he has the right to do certain stuff, and which will make life a little bit more difficult for Chelsea. But it's a little more complicated than that. You could. That's something that if you do, Chelsea might show you that they still have, you could say, uh, leverage to a certain measure that can make life a little more difficult for you. And I don't think he'd want that. And I think because yeah, he's shown that he no longer trusts the process. I don't know if it'd be correct to say that because I can't read his mind. But at least I think it'd be accurate to say he's shown that he's no longer happy being at Chelsea, which that also can change by the time we get to summer. And he said, I think everything comes down to the club not willing to pay him what he's asking for a new contract, not willing to say oblige his new contract demands maybe. But his thing, it could change. But more likely than not, I think he ends up leaving Chelsea because yeah, I think Chelsea also needs to sell. And if they trusted you and you show any signs that you're not settled, I think they'd be happy to sell it, but on their own terms. You're not going to be the one to dictate how they sell it, given the length of your contract, whether you put in transfer request or not. They would want to set an example with you, even if it means if it means they end up selling you at your own terms, on your own terms. They still like to show you that yeah, it's not going to be that easy. Um, that's by the way. In a bit, we go to Vincent's timeline, my most trusted source, to look at what people are saying. And once again, I advise you to not take any rumors you see with regards to who will most likely become our next manager. Don't take them seriously. Just gather all of them, dump them in a single bucket, and call them rumors at this point. We've been there before. At some point, I think we heard some rumors suggesting that Mourinho, yeah, at the time that he was open to returning to Chelsea, that we've heard a lot of nonsense. So you'll be seeing a lot of stuff right now, and please do not take all of them serious. Don't take them serious. None. We're too far away from the timeline that we've been told. Yeah, we've heard that they're looking to take their time and hire the right profile manager, which is for me which is a good idea. Don't do it in a rush this time. I think the season, you could argue, yeah, it's gone. The only thing, hopefully, we'll be able to win the FA Cup. I think we still can, and I think with the change of manager, Callum, for me, is more pragmatic than Rosenior. I think he'd make life a lot more difficult for Leeds United, and I think we're capable of. I don't know if Palmer will be available for selection for that game. I think we have a few important players out injured, but I think we can do a lot better than we did under Rosenior due to change in approach. But let's see. I think Xavi Hernandez would be a best manager for the Chelsea project. I like Xavi. I like his approach, but do I think he'd do well in the Premier League? I have reservations, honestly. But that's just my opinion. He could come to the Premier League and just like Pep did, and prove that yeah, he's willing to tweak his approach. Because in the Premier League, you need to be a little bit, you can say, you need to have some measure of pragmatism in your embedded in your approach to do well, irrespective of who you are. Even Pep, he's done that to a certain extent. At some point, he started signing bigger players than usual, for lack of a better term there. And I think that has helped him do well in the Premier League. He changed to a certain measure, not entirely, but to, you can say, he changed enough to be able to do well in the Premier League in terms of, you could say, seeing things from a pragmatic perspective. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, saying welcome to you. He said we have to sell all our CVs Cowell in this summer and buy three best options. I think that's a drastic suggestion, in my opinion. If you do that, that'd be no different from starting afresh. I think we have a few of them who are still good enough, who, even if you, I mean, can still be part of the squad. I'd keep Trevor Chalobah. I get it; he's not been perfect, but at least, look, he can get the job done, but perform consistently. That's something. Yeah, I haven't seen from him in a few seasons. But he's actually one of our most experienced defenders right now. I'd keep him. The question is, would he want to be just part of the squad and not play on a regular basis? I don't know. That's up to him. I mean, you have every right to feel like that, in all honesty. Well, there. So let's see what else we have here. I have my bro, Mabas05, aka MB05. Nice to see you in the chat. I do hope you're doing well. So Mabas says, big up Kuchila. I am happy that Chelsea sacked Liam Rosenior, but at the same time, I feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for him. I think I get it. He won't get that, you can say, a lot of money, but he will get good enough money because they had, I think it'd be accurate to call it exit clause. They're not stupid. They gave him a lengthy contract, but at the same time, they knew at the time that they were taking a huge risk, that there's a chance, it's 50-50. That there's a chance it goes down south, so a chance it works out. And in the end, it didn't work out. And I'm going to say this not because he's a bad manager. You can argue because, yeah, you could say his arrogance. The architect of his own downfall, in my opinion. Had he taken things slowly, build on the work that Maresca had done, I think he'd still be here and still be doing well, and still actually, then you can say, I'm not sure how else to say it, but I think he caused the problems that led to his downfall. Yeah, it was too soon for him. At the same time, I think I did say that on X, that I would have loved him to spend at least two more seasons as Strasbourg. But at the same time, I gave him a chance because, yeah, he should be well acquainted with the demands of the Premier Leagues. You don't. That's no. Even Pep didn't take that much of the sort of risk that he took when he started. You could say implementing his preferred approach at the drastic pace. We saw Caicedo making still a mistake that he hadn't made before that his arrival, because yeah, he was hell bent on playing. his way, not even considering the fact that those players haven't been drilled to play that way. And that sort of football, you have to take it slowly, otherwise you risk self implode. You risk imploding. But he didn't. Apparently, that was never an issue for him, and that's down to his arrogance, in my opinion. But it is what it is. It's gone, and I wanted him gone as before the Man City game, actually, because it was clear at the time. You could argue the players weren't playing for him, or even if you didn't think at the time that players weren't playing for him, you could say. I mean, it's the same thing to even say that they didn't trust him. We've looked deflected of late, not because we didn't have good players, but because yeah, something. Let me just phrase it like that. Isn't quite right. Still isn't until we see the next game and see if things are changed. Um, Unfortunately, we found ourselves here. Things could have been a lot more different. As much as yeah, I loved Maresca. I was one of his biggest defenders when people were calling him one trick pony. We were one of those telling them no, he's not. He's just not ain't paying attention to the way he approaches the game and all that. But I still feel to some measure that he betrayed us. But that's just my personal opinion. We You can say we see things. We as individuals see things from different lenses, and you have every right to see things the way you want to see it. But nice to see you once again, my bro. I appreciate you. And Houston, the reason I've been telling people that the manager is a list of our problems. In the case of Rosenior at the time, I did say the same thing I said on the Maresca. The manager is a list of our problems. The sporting directors, they're still there. They're the ones, though they paid a lot of money to make the right decisions to ensure we don't make mistakes. Of how many mistakes they've made now, and they still have a job. Hopefully, as we've heard, that the club, yeah, they would do some self-reflection, take stocks. Maybe they will look at it and realize, yeah, we've actually hired the wrong people. I'd be happy if both lose their jobs for the reasons I just because I don't think the owners they don't know these managers. If anything, sometimes maybe since becoming Chelsea owners, maybe they started paying attention to football and get to know some of them. Uh, but still, the sporting directors are the ones. Yeah, we're the ones have always been the ones to decide who becomes our next manager. And yeah, I get it. I'd still say it. I think Liam Rosenior is a good manager. Uh, they were the ones that decided, yeah, he was ready for the job. And it turns out he wasn't ready, irrespective of whether you believe he's a good manager or not. But it is what it is. We're here now. So keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. We're getting closer and closer to 30K subscribers. And when we get there, promise you we'll put smile on a lucky fan's face. I think we'll do a giveaway. I don't know whether it'd be monetary or maybe a kit. We will decide when the time comes. All right, I'm gonna skip a lot of stuff, and if I've said hello to you already, I will skip your comments and say hello to those that I haven't said hello to, and then we go to my bros timeline, Vince, my go-to timeline, my trusted source, and this says, Khan says this job was a massive step up for Liam too soon in his early career. Hope he puts this behind him and starts at the level where he can flourish. Along with the vision of that club. Houston, I'm going to say this quickly. Had it not been for his arrogance, I think he'd still be here. Sometimes when you're handed a task that is, you could say, an overwhelming task, the best thing to do, how is it would be to approach the task strategically, because you don't, because you're overwhelmed. Then you can overcome that task. You can navigate all sorts of, you could say, uh, um, navigate hindrance circumstances to even to in the end get the task done. Because yeah, you're being truthful to yourself, knowing that yeah, you've never handled such task before, but you can, but you have to take it slowly. I think he had the basics. Let me just say this. Remember, he had an excellent start to life as a Chelsea manager. He did so well that he was even nominated for the Manager of the Month, wasn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong. And the players at the time were having fun. We're seeing them play with more freedom, which I liked at the time. They were doing well. But you can say, from that high, the highs of him being recognized as one of the managers of the month, maybe got into his head, or maybe triggered his arrogance. I don't see the. I didn't think it was necessary to actually drop Robert Sanchez for Philip Jorgensen for that PSG game. I get it. He made a few mistakes before that game, but not as many mistakes as he's made in the past. Not even those weren't actually serious mistakes, in my opinion. I don't. I think it was a huge mistake dropping him for Jorgensen, and a lot of us at the time knew that that was a huge risk, and we did say it. That could define his Chelsea reign, and we were doing well, really, really well. Even games we drew before that PSG game, well, we drew those games down to it was down to our defensive errors. The usual thing we expect from games because we have a crappy defensive line. But until that PSG game, we were doing well. People were starting to, you could say, respect him. Those that didn't respect his hiring they started speaking positively about him. Joe Cole and the others, even pundits, started speaking positively about him until that PSG game. And you could argue we have not been able to recover from that loss, that 8-2 aggregate loss. It was a huge mistake. It was a huge gamble, and it backfired spectacularly. Had he not taken that risk, had he just, you could say, not try to reinvent the wheels, I think he'd still be here. Because we were just too easy. It was just too easy for PSG because he didn't even try to be pragmatic, even to, you could say, to the minute measure, for lack of a more specific term there. He was the architect of his own downfall, unfortunately. Yeah, and we've not been able to recover from that PSG loss. Which was why I wanted him gone before the Man City game, because at the time I was telling people we could do with a new manager bounce, because yeah, that changes everything, changes the mindset of the players. And for me, irrespective of who comes in, even as caretaker manager, I think would finish the season better. But it's a little bit too late now. It would take a lot misfortune for those teams ahead of us for us to get a chance to qualify for the Champions League, unfortunately. But yeah, I hope he can. Yes, then unfortunately, I think he might get another job soon, but I don't think it'd be that easy. I don't think it's going to be that easy. Before, we heard, I think a month ago or so, that Crystal Palace were interested in hiring him should he leave Chelsea at the time. Maybe they give him a chance, but unfortunately, my goodness, he fluffed it, and all his fault, really. I think Chelsea fans also wanted to give him a chance. Even those that didn't give him a chance, they started supporting him when we had that excellent run under his era. A lot of people were ready to support him. Okay, he's doing well. You know what? I'm going to support him. But he ruined it with that decision, that one of decision of dropping Robert Sanchez for Philip Jorgensen and trying to prove to the world that yeah, if he could beat PSG with you could say a squad that with a squad of lesser quality as Strasbourg in the French league, that he could do, you could say, beat them his own way with a much superior squad as the Chelsea squad, and it backfired spectacularly. I think he will look back and realize how big of a mistake that was. Life lesson for all of us. It says if Enzo leaves, we will miss him. We'll miss. He's an excellent player. I'm one of his biggest supporters because I understand what he brings to the table. A lot of Chelsea fans don't like him, even some. I think if you look at the numbers right now, Chelsea overall statistics, he's still, I think she's still definitely one of our best players. I think so. Let me just leave it at that. Yeah, one of our best players, but at some point he was our best player. Yeah. The fact Liam I didn't play Santos, I knew he was gone. This is something that's very common with managers. When they find their, okay, you say when under pressure, they usually feel the more experienced players until it becomes clear to them that even the experienced players will not save their job, then maybe they call them fresh talents, maybe to see if they'd be with a, you say, with the eagerness, they'd have the eagerness to prove to them that they're actually more better than the so-called experienced players. I think he was just desperate. Maybe he believed that the more experienced players will we get the job done for him, and he was everywhere towards the end. He was everywhere for me. My observation, he wasn't too sure was what would work and what wouldn't work. He was just it was just like a spaghetti, and you can say on the wall to see what sticks. Unfortunately, let's see what else we have here. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you. I think the change of name here. Happy Blue Morning. Gosh, I've missed you. I miss you too, brother. I can't complain. Any day above ground is a good day. Chelsea Football Club is drowning like the blue Titanic ship, blue co out willingly, and no experienced coach will come in. Here's the thing. I think one of the biggest lies is the elite coaches aren't open to they're not going to accept the Chelsea job. I think that's a lie. I think that's a lie, and I think some of those names people are mentioning that are suggesting they're not going to accept the Chelsea job. I still think that's a lie. I think they will, some of them with conditions, some of them also, you could say, who are on the verge of making it to that elite level. I think all of them nearly, or maybe a considerable number of them will be open to the Chelsea job because they see it as a stepping stone. They see it as an opportunity to prove that they can actually manage an elite club. Because irrespective of what we're going through right now, I think, in my opinion, Chelsea is still an elite club. You have every right to disagree or see it otherwise. But for me, I see my club as an elite club, irrespective of what we're going through now. And I think these two shall pass, and hopefully they learn a lesson. I wouldn't want to go through this again. I'm getting too old for this nonsense. Yeah, I can't complain. And thank you for stopping by to say hello. If you're only stopping by to say hello, he says bring Tom Stuchel back at the summer after the 2026 World Cup. I don't know. Anything is possible, but I don't think it happens. I think Palma and João Pedro was a faking injury to get Rosenior gone. I don't think so. There are ways to see if you've lied about having an injury or not. We're not in an 1860 anymore. This is 2026. Scans will show whether something is wrong with you or not. There are many ways to figure that out. And hello to all of you. If I haven't said hello to you, I'm going to scroll to the very bottom and we're going to go. I think it'd be accurate to call it news hunting. I'm going to go to my bros timeline. Vince, if you haven't heard me say it before, he's my most trusted source to read what he's got for us and see. And Rich Money Makers, Rich Money Makers says, big up the legend coach, big up to you. To finally, our owners are willing to sign some experienced players. My understanding is that the sporting directors will have to explain themselves. I think the pay attention to that part of that, you could call it brief. The news that Chelsea would do some self-reflection, take stock, and think they might end up falling. I think it'd be accurate to say falling on the chopping blocks. Yeah, they've taken they've beaten more than they can chew. Because yeah, the owners will look at it and say, how many managers have they hired, and how many of them have been successful? Thomas Tuchel, Enzo Maresca yeah, he's a key counts as a successful Chelsea managers, I can't speak. I'm tired, man. But that's okay. Let's see. I'm human. What else do we have here? Let's see what happens there. And Rich Moneymakers here, and I sometimes wonder why doesn't Bluco get better but directors, or rather, and let's see what happens. I want them gone. I've always told people the manager is the least of our problems. Now Liam Rosenior is gone, but those that hired him, they still have a job. Even they got a pay rise a few months ago, to the surprise of a lot of Chelsea fans who never liked them. Um, I've been told that he could have caused more injuries on our players because of the high tense training that our old coach didn't do with certain players coming up from my top sources. Okay, respect to your top sources. We like that. He didn't earn any respect of the players. He didn't. Even Ganacho didn't want to listen to him. And I'm going to say this. I think he is the architect of his own downfall. Of his the problems he faced, he's finding out that all his own. Honestly, his own doing. I Ganacho didn't understand Liam Rosenior, aka supply teachers instructions due to Ganacho's language barrier. I thought Ganacho, isn't he fluent in English? Anyway, apparently some of the players called Liam Rosenior a supply teacher. I'm not surprised. There are reasons to believe that, yeah, that actually happened. As stubborn owners are being taught a hard lesson of running a football club, I repeat, finally, the owners are now going to sign older players in the centre back attack, but the goalkeeper, they love Pendas. I think Pendas has gained a good experience. Whether he's gained a good enough experience, I don't know. Until it comes to the Premier League, I think that's where he'd face the real test. We'll know. But good thing he's still there. And from what I've seen so far, I've seen improvements. I did dedicate time to watch him last season, and I did see some stuff that at the time that got me concerned, like how he wasn't proactive at the time in terms of going for balls that were uh, put into his box. He was static on occasion, waiting for the ball to get for him, not experienced enough to know that, yeah, he had to be proactive. He had to be going towards the ball, and that way, opposition players, yeah, a majority of the times won't get the chance to head the ball into the back of the net. But I think that has improved to a considerable extent. I think his high claims having numbers have improved, and he needs that in the Premier League, where set piece is the strength of plenty of the teams in the league. They just want to get the ball into the box, and yeah, start a fight even before the ball gets into the box, which often leads to confusion for the defensive side. But I think he's improved in that aspect. Not perfect yet, but I think he's improving by each game. All right. Thank you to all of you. I'm gonna scroll to the very bottom. Apologies, I can't read everything as much as I like to interact with you. That's actually the favorite part of my favorite part of the show is to interact with you, learn from you, and also have a conversation with you. More importantly, we call it fight here, but yeah, always a conversation, in my opinion. So let's see. Let's go news hunting here. I think it'd be accurate to call it that. And once again, I'm gonna have to remind you my advice, where that sort of time where you'll be seeing a lot of, you can say, a lot of stuff out there trying to suggesting that certain one manager or the other is on the verge of joining Chelsea Football Club, or on the verge of becoming our next manager. Don't believe them. I think we're actually, and I don't think we'll be actually sure who will be our next manager. In even I think it'd be maybe after a month or so, as we get closer to the summer, because I think they'd like to get uh they'd like to get done with it before the start of next season, before the start of preseason, actually. So I'd say in a month time or so, I think they'd be wrapping things up. But right now, everything you see, in my opinion, all speculations. Take them with a pinch of salt. And as I've always advised people, dump them into a single bucket and categorize them as speculations. Right now, I think I'm seeing a lot of names that, yeah, I don't think. I don't think they'd like to see near the Chelsea job, in my opinion. Let's see. Big update. I've been told, according to our friend here, Rich Money Makers, I've been told that our top players like Marco Correa will only stay if the new coach we hire has a very elite experience winning trophies historically. Fair enough. I think Houston Marco Correa, you could argue, is actually the reason why we've made it clear to the fans, to the players we've been told. And according to Cole Palmer, he and James, they both had conversations with the club, reassuring conversations with the club, and they've learned that that the club, the hierarchy, that they're ready actually to change things for good. Because it's clear what they've been doing hasn't really worked. It has, you can say, it has produced their model so far. It has produced mixed results, some success and a lot of. You could argue, I think it'd be accurate to say a lot of failures. Um, but yeah. I give Kukurea the credit. The way he spoke about the situation, he spoke intelligently, constructively, publicly too. He sent a message. And as I've always told people, you can scream a blue call out all you want. I don't think you move it. Yeah, maybe you will move a needle, but I think you they have egos. If anything, they will double down. But you know what's going to move them the most? Somebody like Kukurea speaking out publicly the way he did, constructively, intelligently, and he nailed it. He talked about the issues, and I think they listened to him. They listened to him. That sort of thing is a sort of thing that will move them. And then something else that will move them is the poll. I think it was the Chelsea, what's it called? One of the communities, the club fan communities that they put out a poll to get people's opinion on whether they like the owners or not, and then the poll showed that majority of the fans don't like them. Or you could argue for more. Let me use a more constructive language there. They're not happy with the direction that the club is going. That's the sort of thing that will move them. It's not about screaming. It's not about name calling. It's about being strategic. Then, you get a response, a positive response. So kudos to Kukurea, in my opinion. Something that tons of you could, I don't know how many protests wasn't able to change. I give him credit. I know the protesters probably they would take credit. I get it, but I think they moved the needle. I'd say maybe to some extent, but the main mover there, in my opinion, Korea. But that's just my opinion. But I'm happy that they're willing to tweak the model to because it's clear what you can say the direction what they've done so far. They've had, you can say, mixed results. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. I appreciate you all finding the time to join the conversation this particular morning. Rosenior sacked. Who will replace him? And right now, I'm going to ask you guys this question. Why, before we go back to news hunting, your opinion, which manager would you like to would you like the club to hire, and why? It'd be interesting to see the names you bring up. I'd like Xabi Alonso. I think he has it in him. He just I think he just wasn't able to deal with the egos maybe at Madrid, and the players, they didn't respect him. But I think at Chelsea, I think they will respect him, and he actually walked. He wasn't fired. He walked. And Madrid, I think the structure there, I think it take a lot what to get the players actually to respect him, given the way his, you can say, his last day at the job, how things panned out that day. I know Mbappe tried the media nonsense, tried to, you can say, to clear his name, but he did some BS on that day himself. Anything else here? Anything else important? I mean, you have every right to feel that way, Santiago Muno. But nice to see you, my brother. Hope you're doing well. But one thing to bear in mind, I think um, whatever decision you see, whatever our club or whatever Chelsea, whatever the club does today, mm, he's not the sole decision maker. Yeah, it's not just all about him, and unfortunately, they're not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. And let's be sensible here. You know how much they've spent, and to make a profit, you know how much they'd have to sell the club for. And who do you think will be willing to pay that much money for the club right now? Even let's assume that yeah, they actually could sell, but who's going to pay that? Yeah. And who's going to look at the club and say, okay, I can pay that much money and then I can rebuild the stadium? Yeah, that's a huge, you could say, question mark over the possibility of expanding the stadium. You know that yourself. Even Roman wasn't able to convince them to allow him to move to a much bigger site to build a fitting stadium for our beloved club. Even West Ham United has they have a much better stadium than us. A lot of clubs in the Premier League actually have a much bigger stadium than us, capacity wise. So it just doesn't make sense. But I get it. We're angry, and you can say we have every right to be angry. But the anger sometimes you could argue uh, impairs our judgment. We don't think logically most of the times. We think if we scream out from here to tomorrow that they will, yeah, leave. I don't think so. I'm Look, it's draining mentally and otherwise. But that's by the way. Let's see what else we have here, Coach. If we beat Liverpool at Anfield, we can overtake them. Uh, okay. Do I think we can beat them? I think we can, but let's see what happens. I detest this project, but Cuckoo should be sold one way or the other. He has openly trashed this project. No, I don't see it that way. And it will be better for the squad's health to keep people who buy into this wayward project. Let's be honest here. I don't want Kukurea gone. I want him to stay. He's a true leader. True leaders speak up. Cuckoo spoke on behalf of the fans, his teammates. He didn't he didn't pull off any shenanigans. He didn't twerk for clubs, in my opinion. I think what he said to some extent, because yeah, what big accounts on X do in the media, what they do is sometimes because yeah, it works. They just present headlines and without you can say they're not they respect I respect them, but it's you can say it's a strategy to miff fans, maybe to get fans angry. Let me use a simpler language there. They just say Kukurea trashes Chelsea ownership or Chelsea model, but when you read through, when you take your time to read it, understand the context, i I think he was constructively critical of the model. I don't, and at the time I said, this guy, he's done nothing wrong. He spoke intelligently, constructively, and he said the truth. He said, look, we have a lot of good players. Something to that effect. I'm not looking at the quote right now, but correct me if I misquote him. We have a lot of good players. And I think he did mention how well they're doing, but we need experience. And what he said suggests that bringing experience will, you could say, elevate the quality of the squad. I'm quite sure I'm not misquoting him. If I am your boss and you come into my office and you tell me you think we have talents here, but the way we approach you can say we have talents here, but you think that what's the language I'm looking for? That our processes aren't efficient enough, or we have talents here, but you think we lack experience. That with experience, that would be much better. If you weren't the supervisor, I will make you the supervisor. If you weren't the manager, I will make you the manager. Or if I am the manager and you come into my office and tell me such thing, I will make you the supervisor. And if at any time I want to leave the company, I will tell the owners, this is the guy for you. You don't need players that will grumble under their breath and not tell you the truth. They will sabotage the whole system. You need players that are able to speak out openly, just like Kukurea did. Then you learn from what's not working, and then do things differently. And I will tell you the reason why owners are openly telling the fans that yeah, we're gonna do things differently. We've done things the way we've done it, and it hasn't worked. It is because of Cucurella. Enzo Fernandez didn't say such, and he was the vice. Whether he's still the vice captain, I don't know, but uh, uh, he was part of the leadership group. He was openly twerking for Real Madrid, naked. Actually, he didn't just twerk for them. He was naked. He was bending over, asking them, "Please come." Cucurella didn't do that. He could have, but he didn't. And even Rosenior did say that, yeah, that he's just to some measure he wasn't. You could say he didn't like how he did it. He could have come to him, but I'm happy the way he did it. And if I were Rosenior, I for me that's a good thing. You he was look he wasn't punished because he did it constructively, intelligently, and he spoke the truth. And that's the sort of people I want to deal with. I don't even when you in terms of when you talk about having friends, I don't like friends that are not gonna come that tell me, hey man, you need to get a haircut. You look like you're homeless. I don't like the sort of friends that will look at you and always tell you look nice, man. And then go tell another friend, come on, man. Why didn't he get a haircut? I don't want to go out with him today. He looks like shit. I don't want that. I don't want friends that will tell me, "Hey, you're doing great," but behind me go tell someone else or get to go tell another friends. I'm not sure what we're doing here. So I will take a player, a person like Kukurea, anytime, any day. Actually, he should actually be the captain, in my opinion. No disrespect to James, but you won a person like a Correa who knows how to speak objectively, constructively, and more importantly, intelligently and truthfully. I would say more importantly, truthfully. So I have nothing against him. I'm not sure. We all see things differently, but I have huge respect for Kukurea, and that's just me. Yeah, for me, and I think the club respects that. The manager was the only person who said something to the effect of, "Yeah, it's just the way he went about it." I don't think he did anything wrong, except if the manager saw the part where, to the effect of, I don't think, no part of his, you can say that his statement or comment for me is I I don't see any of them as him doing anything wrong. Any part of it as him saying anything wrong. In Enzo Fernandez's case, as I've said, you all know what he did. I just don't want to say it again, but he did it multiple times. Had he done it just once, for me, I wouldn't actually have issues with it. But he did it like 3, 4 times or so. I can't quite remember, but I don't want to pull out numbers out of my wazoo and throw them at you. But Kukurea, I respect him. In fact, he should become our captain, actually. All right. It says, hi to you, to my bro. Nice to see you. I do hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining the conversations. conversation. If you haven't, please take a second, drop a like on the stream, and also do subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And we're still looking to hire hosts. If you're interested, if you feel like you have it in you, we will train you, help you with equipment to make life a lot more easier for me. I have 4 kids. Yeah, all of them. None of them is at us of the age where they're able to take care of themselves. So that makes life a bit more difficult to me in most cases. So yeah, I said yeah, like, I have to help them get ready for school, go pick them up from school. Even though the school is closed, they're not at the age where you can say they can walk home from school and not then me not fearing anything happening to them. Dark times, so you could say. But yeah, my in-laws will be back soon, and that will make life a lot easier for me. Even if by that time we're not able to hire anybody, we start streaming consistently. Plus, yeah, I do have all the things I do. I know I work from home. Um, as a software developer, web application developer, I do work from home, so that makes it a lot more easier. But still, I'm human. I need that help to make a stream consistently. Blue Morning Show and then the News Roundup Show. But that's by the way. Thank you for joining. Good to hear that you're good. I'm happy they've sacked our primary school teacher. Dang it. Chelsea fans, they've called him all sorts of names, but I feel bad for him. But he will make some money, and I think. But even at that, unfortunately, I think his resume right now. I think his resume. His resume takes a huge hit. Unfortunately for him. But then again, I'd have to go back to saying something that I've said before. Um, he cost it. You could say he was the architect of his own downfall. Had an excellent start to life as Chelsea manager, but yeah, he was riding that high of being nominated for the Premier League Manager of the Month. He did actually break some records. He did break some records actually. Uh, broke one. The Napoli. What's it called? Uh, hadn't lost at home for like a billion years. Yeah, and the comeback. I think there's he broke a comeback record. Also, Chelsea coming back from 2 goals down after first half or something like that, and then one that has to do with his nationality, the first English manager to have won certain amount of game and all that. I think that actually you could argue triggered his ego, leading to him not taking things slowly. Even Maresca didn't make changes in a hurry. He respected what Pochettino had in place. And when managers do that, you're bound to succeed. Thomas Tuchel respected, I think, what was it, Frank Lampard, what Lampard had in place. He made, in terms of his approach, he made total changes later on, but he wasn't drastic about it. He took it gradually. But Rosenior, the start to life was excellent. Maybe that got into his head. And yeah, once again, his downfall started with him. Maybe that's just me assuming that was the case. When he felt like if he could beat PSG and Luis Enrique with a much inferior squad in the Strasbourg 11, that he could beat them his own way. Yeah, with Chelsea squad. That I knew that was a huge risk. And sure, had we beaten PSG, it'd be the discussion. I believe we'd be talking about okay, how much of a genius he is right now. But I knew it was a huge risk, and it backfired spectacularly, and we've not been able to recover from that ever since. All right, keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. I appreciate you all finding the time to join the conversation. This particular morning. It's still 5:08 a.m. CST. My name is Kachila, and I do hope you are doing well. Let's see. I wish they would bring in Xavi or Fabregas. Be careful what you wish for. Um, you think Rosenior was stubborn in terms of his approach. I think Fabregas will be more stubborn. He's a believer in beautiful football. I need to see more from him. I need to see. You should watch his games and see how they fare when they play against a more pragmatic side. Do you remember his reaction when they lost 0-4 to, I think it was Inter Milan? He lost it. They, from my observation, I think they're beautiful to watch, and I think he has it in him to become better. Uh, he's no different from Rosenior, honestly. It's all you can say. All up and coming managers are all good enough. They all have the potential to become the best in the world until they come to Chelsea. I would be cautious. Fabregas, but thank goodness he wants to be at Como come 26-27 season. I think it'd still be a huge risk. Fabregas, for me, actually a bigger risk. Yeah, Fabregas a bigger risk than Rosenior, but probably because of his, you could say, playing career, you could say he had a much more. I think would it be accurate to say a much more? Yeah, I think it'd be accurate to say he had a much more a more successful career than Rosenior. Not even close. I don't remember. I don't know if Rosenior won anything as a player. So maybe because of that fact, people probably will realize that yeah, hiring him carries some sort of risk. Rosenior actually has more experience than him, but chances are we're bringing him. If we hire him, he'd become the next pope. But the risk is still there. Xavi Alonso. The question is whether he'd be able to make some adjustments to his approach to do well in the Premier League. So it's actually not that simple. I thought that Rosenior, because yeah, he's well acquainted with English football, that he'd make some adjustment. And at the start he did. But then the highs of his, you could say, excellent start to life at Chelsea got to him. He became arrogant and wanted to make drastic changes and prove to the world that yeah, he's a genius manager. And yeah, the rest. You know the story. So Fabregas, a lot of risk. I'd rather we go to the so-called, you could say, non-elite managers like Marco Silva, Iraola, or the soon-to-be Crystal Palace manager, very experienced, and then give them a much better squad. And for me, they carry less risk than a name like Fabregas. As much as yeah, I'd like to see us hire him and him succeeding, but he's no different from Rosenior in terms of, you could say, him being that sort of manager obsessed with beautiful football. Whether he'd be open to, I don't know, to make an adjustment to his approach to properly adapt to the Premier League, and I don't know. But I'd still say this: he carries even much more risk than Rosenior, because Rosenior, before becoming a manager, before we hire them, if we're going by that logic, more experience than Fabregas, even now more experience than Fabregas. But Fabregas is in that category of managers, very very stubborn. In terms of their approach, it has to be beautiful or nothing. I don't think I've seen him do things differently. I don't think I've seen him be pragmatic enough that you say, yeah, results matter to a certain measure. He wouldn't mind playing ugly to get a result. Even Pep these days sometimes wouldn't mind uh, um, making changes, accommodating more defensive players to avoid losing a game. But that's a small opinion anyway. So let's see. Big up, my bro. Always nice to see you. I do hope you're doing well. I appreciate you. Sorry that I haven't had the time to come say hello to you whenever you're streaming. And I until now we hadn't actually streamed for a while. But thank you for stopping by to say hello. I appreciate you. Much love to you, bro. You said, yes, Kukurea was at least honest. That's the sort of people I want in my life. Even in the content creation world, in my life, I have a lot of friends that will turn around, go say some HIT about you, and then when they speak with you one on one, they pretend they are your best friends. I like those that would tell me, hey man, you suck at this. You need to do things this way to get better. That's actually that person, that's the person that will tell you that sort of truth is your best friend. But we live in a world where right now, let's say you put on something on X and you make a mistake, like misspell something, you hardly, these days, we live in a world where you hardly see one of your friends come and say, hey man, this thing you have on X, do you mean this word and not the other word? These days, you have the sort of friends that will see that and make fun of you and probably take a screenshot of it and show one of your friends. So that, anyway, I digress. That's the sort of person I want in my life, the Kukurea type of person. And I would trust them, defend them, fight for them. Because they will always, they have genuine spirit. Yeah. But thank you. All right, let's see. What else we have here? The fact that the owners, excuse me, the fact that Jesus Christ, what's going on here? And my coffee is gone. The fact that the owners sacked Liam with just 4 or 5 games to go, I'm a bit optimistic this time that they've bought bit more time this time to appoint an experienced manager winner. They've said it, and I think they would do it. And I wouldn't mind Iraola. I wouldn't mind the Crystal Palace manager. Michael Silva, he has experience, but I followed him long enough that you could argue he seemed to be limited in terms of tactical ability. He seems to be limited. He doesn't have that edge to cross of that, you could say, that ceiling to get to that, what you could call to get to that elite level. But you could say Iraola, how'd you pronounce that? Where's my Spanish speaking friends like Rodrigo Rodas? He's usually good at, you can say, training me on how to pronounce names correctly. Um, I used to say Cucurella, and he says it's Cucurella. But Iraola, for me, I think he has that edge. If you've watched his teams, he has that edge to cross that ceiling to get to that elite level. And then the Crystal Palace manager, he has it. But for Marco Silva, I'd say no. I don't think he has it. I've followed him long enough. Everton days, one of the teams I can't quite remember. I think he doesn't have what it takes to cross that ceiling to become an elite level manager. Some people just don't have it. But Iraola, he has it. Marcus Alonso, Xavi Alonso, does he? He might, but I need to see more. Even Xavi, for me, I'm just concerned. That's maybe any manager that you can say that obsessed with beautiful football. I'm usually concerned with regards to how they do in the Premier League, which is a league where, you'd have to be a bit pragmatic, either by signing more physical players or by signing bigger players. One way or the other, you'd have to apply a bit of pragmatism to your approach to rule in the Premier League. And Pep, he's done that in a very, very genius way, in my opinion. Excuse me. I am too, and I think they're serious because they've had conversations with Cole Palmer and Rhys James. Cole Palmer told us that. I'm not making that up. Kukurea spoke up, did speak up publicly, spoke the truth, spoke intelligently, constructively, and more importantly, yeah, I think they'd listen to that. They're gonna make changes. They have no option. And if you listen, I don't think I don't think it's the truth that yeah they don't want to, they don't care, they don't want to win trophies and all that. It's a lie. If anything, tell me they're making mistakes, they're stupid, then I'll listen to you. I think to some extent I think it's believable to say yeah they've made decision or they've made stupid decisions, which in turn means yeah they're stupid. But I wouldn't go to that extent. They've made mistakes, and I believe they will learn from their mistakes. And I'd rather we keep that person, the owners that have made mistakes, that will learn from their mistakes and be much better than push for a new owner to come in. You don't know, you don't dictate who buys the club. That's one thing a lot of people don't pay attention to. You want him gone, but you don't dictate who buys the club. You don't. Yeah. But let's see. Now, only time will tell if these stubborn owners who are me miserably, how do you pronounce that, is showing their hidden talent of great financial management by running Chelsea wayward and where this project heads in a 2 year. We were actually two signings away. Just I get it. We're not perfect on the left hand side in terms of the attacking area, defensive area. I think on the left hand side, to be more specific, the left back side, I think we have two excellent players there. I've always trusted what's his name, Yore Hato, and I've always known that he just needs time, and I think he's getting there. Um, Even though we have issues on the left again on the left hand side of our attacking area, we were two centre back signings away, even one centre back signing away to be competing for the title this season. Maybe not win it, but to be up there, one centre back signing away. As much as I'd say it's convincing to tell me due to financial restraints and all that was the reason why we didn't really push to sign one, because yeah, and we believed in what we had within our ranks, and it turns out they were all shitty. So it's all again as painful and as pained as I am, and I'm not sure how else to say it. As painful as the situation is, in all honesty, it's not all doom and gloom, as a lot of people make it out to be. But a lot of the issue is that a lot of content creators, they thrive when we're not doing well. They milk the heck out of it, lying to their followers and all that. The owners, they've made tons of mistakes, and I'll be the one to list them for you. But what you would never see me do is maybe it's just to start screaming blue coat, because it won't change anything. If anything, or start name calling them to their faces and then plan a protest, which you could say from the blueprint, the agreement was that let's protest and impact the change. But we got to the stadium, all we do is name call the owners and not even protest as a unit or in a uniform manner, and end up just being more like a charade of people, you could say, that have time on their hands and just wanted to be part of something they feel is important, that make them feel important. And as I've told people, the owners we have, they're more likely to pay attention to the poll that showed, and kudos to whoever conducted that poll, that showed, yeah, majority of the fans are unhappy. That's the sort of thing that will move them. But I'm glad. I think definitely things will change for good. I know people who followed Chelsea even before I was born. That yeah, uh, maybe when I was still 5, 6, 7. That yeah, that have told stories how we've been through worse times. We shall overcome. Honestly. All right, my bro here says, my order of preference, ideal but not happening. Toko, probably, yeah, I don't see that happening. I agree with you. Ancelotti, it's not going to happen. Jose, not going to happen. Maresca, realistic in what sense? Maresca, no. Even though I'd like to see that happen, I don't think it happens. Why? ego, you could argue to some extent, is egos maybe already in play. Egos already in play. Um, why would I trust Maresca when we heard part of the reasons why they had a falling out with him was because he told them that, yeah, he practically said that, yeah, he's interested in the Man City job, and should a vacancy, managerial vacancy, emerge at Man City, that he's gonna, yeah, take it. And we're told that actually he's already spoken to the Man City hierarchy. And we've also heard from Fabrizio Romano that, yeah, in fact, yeah, they like him. And he's most something suggesting that, yeah, he will be the one to replace Pep Guardiola should Pep decide, yeah, it's time to move on. Why would I no why would I rehire him? I wouldn't do that. Because, yeah, definitely, you know fully well rehiring him, you're doing that on a temporary basis. I think they just it just didn't make sense the way. I think I can't say for certain that he. It's difficult to say, but I think from what I've heard, he walked. He walked, in my opinion. And not too many clubs are actually considering hiring him right now because probably they know the fact that, yeah, he's in line to replace Pep Guardiola. So why hire him? So, but I could be wrong. I don't. All we can do is just speculate. Fabregas, for me, Felipe Luis, both carries the same measure of risk as Liam Rosenior. No difference. Mm, chances are we hire one of them and they end up becoming the next Pep Guardiola. Because, yeah, that's a first for everything. But let's not sugarcoat things or pretend, yeah, that both actually, yeah, would do better than Liam Rosenior at Chelsea. It's not guaranteed. But that's a small opinion. All right, let's see. What else do you have here? Keep dropping the likes on the stream, people. The likes do go a long way. And I didn't read through your comment there. And then you mentioned the Shams. The Shams? Okay. Xavi. Okay. Xavi Fernandez. Alonso, I take. I think he's played in the Premier League and he understands that, yeah, you could say, apply some measure of pragmatism to your approach to do well in the Premier League. Not sold fully on the Iraola. I'm sold. I think I've seen enough to know. Glesner, yep, I'd respect Tasic. Glesner, I'd take him. He's proven that he's got that mind, tactically wise, and he knows how to be pragmatic too. Iraola, I say yes. I think I've seen enough to see that he has that edge. What it takes to cross that ceiling to become elite. He has it. Fabregas, a risk. Um, you'll say, I that's just nostalgia in my opinion. I think he comes in after a few games, the fans will start hating on him again because of his approach. And also there's I think you say the generational gap. If you have to compare to the fans we had during his tenure to the fans era, the two eras, two stints maybe. If you have to compare the fans we had at the time and the fans we have now, I don't think they will. I think Yose will be a problematic hiring. He will be a problematic hiring for Chelsea right now. I don't think they do that. Even though I think he'd take it, and they know. I think they know his history well enough to know that he comes in and then he will tell them I need player A, B, C, D, and E. And when you don't do that, next season, be rest assured, he start throwing tantrums, pushing you to fire him. So Joseph, for me, a risk, a huge risk. in my opinion. So let's see. Xavi Fabregas wouldn't touch this project even with a badge poll. Forget about them being keen on this job unless they overhaul their entire thinking. No, I'm going to say this again. If Fabregas wasn't one of the owners of Como, I think he'd take the Chelsea job in a heartbeat. Forget this thing we're hearing that a lot of the managers wouldn't want to touch the Chelsea job. It's a lie. That's one of the biggest lies you're hearing. And I'm going to say this. My only concern is that most of the managers who are mentioning will see this job as a stepping stone. They will gladly accept it. But my suspicion of what I'd say is that they'd see it as an opportunity to prove that they can actually coach an elite club, irrespective of what you think or the situation that we find ourselves in right now. Chelsea is still an elite club, so they will gladly take it. And I'd say just like Maresca did, yeah, because he could have stayed with Leicester City after their promotion. But the moment Chelsea came calling, he didn't even hesitate. Probably you could argue his main goal would be to coach Manchester City, but he gladly accepted the Chelsea job, knowing that it's an opportunity to get a chance to win the two trophies he won. And it was easy for him to walk because, yeah, he's made a name for himself and walked with his shoulders high. So for me, the nonsense that, yeah, managers will be reluctant to take the Chelsea job, a lie. There are some managers, when you mention, I say maybe, they will still say yes, but with conditions. So can we start lying to ourselves and saying certain managers will say no to the Chelsea job? It's a freaking lie. Some will say, okay, I will take it, but with conditions. And when that happens, let's go back. Actually, Luis Enrique was literally begging for the Chelsea job, wasn't he? And before then, we had issues too. We were struggling. And he was one of the biggest names available. So can we stop lying about managers not wanting the Chelsea job? Do I think that managers that will look at the job and say no? I'd say yes, because probably they have other opportunities available to them. But there are plenty of names that you'd be shocked. Some of them will be open to taking the Chelsea job, maybe driven by their love for the certain talents we have within our ranks, and with the belief that I've heard them say they're going to sign more experienced players. I think I'm just going to take it and do something there. So can we stop? You can say BSing ourselves that a lot of managers won't take the Chelsea job. And we need to try to get the best. No Marco Silva, please. Just mediocre, even if less risk. As I said, Marco Silva for me, no. I've followed him long enough to know he doesn't have what it takes to break through that ceiling and become elite. He just doesn't have it. I'd rather suffer again with one of our own. I'd rather not suffer at all. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, bro. I love you, but I'm sorry. I'd rather not suffer again. It's too much. Listen, Fabregas a huge risk. Even Felipe Luis a huge risk. Yeah, and Fabregas even more risk than Rosenior. Both actually more risk than Rosenior, in my opinion. But let's see. That one, okay, big up to you tonight, CC. I hope you're doing well. So glad that basketball is out. My goodness, never seen a coach talk too much. I think he talks a lot. He's an intelligent person, but dang it, man can talk, and sometimes too much. Sometimes unnecessary information, and it was easy for the fans to turn against him. Unfortunately. Um, all right, let's see. The owners as this need to eat their ego, just like Roman did when Jose was rehired. Um, Maybe let's see. I think ego. You can say there are reasons for them to do that because they can't continue in this direction. They need to make changes. What the changes will end up being, I don't know but I suspect taking stock could mean that they them firing the sporting directors. because they've misled them not once, not twice, not even three times. And the last one, actually, the most redonkulous, actually, at the period where it's important that we finish in the top five, secure Champions League football for financial reasons. I know they will still find a way to navigate that if we miss out. I think they will be pissed enough. They will look at it, take a step back, look at it, and say, "Yeah, these guys they've misled us." And they realize, they'll come to the realization that yeah, would be better of having a more experienced one. You can say one experienced sporting director that knows what he's doing. I cannot wait to lose the next game. Unfortunately, and I don't blame you. Because listen, Houston, what the only thing that's going to make it very difficult for Leeds United is a change in approach. That's going to make it difficult for them. And change in approach was the reason why we drew against City at Etihad and could have won that game actually. Because changing approach, it throws off, it causes a problem for the opposition manager. With Leon Rosenior, I just don't want to talk about it because it's shameful. The way we play, my goodness, you always catch us on the break. The way we played under him. So, but actually, I just don't want to talk about that really. But let's see. Let's see what happens. I think the change in approach, which I think definitely Callum McFarlane, I think he would change his approach. I think he's a more he has a more pragmatic mindset than Rosenior. Because I remember how we played against City. I think he'd do that. That will make life difficult for Leeds United. And I think even with the absence of João Pedro, hopefully he recovers. And Cole Palmer, I think we still have enough to beat them if he, you can say, if he sets up the team properly. And I'd like us to beat them. Listen, if not for financial reasons, I'd love for us not to get any. If it's not the Champions League, let it not be. Uh, Let it not be the Conference League or the Europa League. We've won all those trophies. I'd rather us not be in any. You can say have any European assignments next season. Concentrate in the league and the league cups. That's already too many for us. But from financial reasons, I think we'd get some. It depends on which one. If it is the Conference League, I don't want it really. I'd rather us not be there. If we're gonna miss out on Champions League, let's miss. Let's if we can afford it. If we can afford it, let's not be in any other European competition, and just concentrate in the league and the other competitions also honestly. But let's see what happens. This says I think for the first time the Aussies might be. I think yeah, it looks like they might be in trouble. I could have told you the lap was Mark Gee 1.5, not spend 30 million on him. I disagree, but you have every right to see it the way you see it. I think the lab there are a multitude of reasons why you could argue you it'd be reasonable to give the lab more time. Yeah, illness, managerial changes too, injuries, and I get it. There are times he's looked off, but I think it's a matter of playing. And how many times has he actually started games? So no, I know a bad player when I see one. He's still very young. He's not perfect yet, but yeah, I think he will come good. But then again, that's just my opinion anyway. All right, any coach that takes this job will fail here. Can you elaborate why you think that's the case? All right, let's see. Signings that they will make will be James Milner and Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva, I don't think we can sign him. I don't think they will sign him. It's not going to happen. Bernardo Silva, it's not going to happen. Big up to you, to my bro. Nice to see you. I do hope you're doing well. I appreciate you. Host reminds me, Ty from AFTV. Really? All right, my bro is in the house. Nice to see you. I do hope you're doing well, and I appreciate you finding the time to join the conversation. Big up, coach. For me, I will only believe they are actually changing the approach when the SDs are fired. Um, they say there's a saying: if you don't, what's the language I'm looking for? If you don't deal with the root cause of an issue, um it will happen again. The issue will keep happening, will keep repeating. So it makes sense. I think, as Ebro said, I think they might actually be in trouble because they've misled them severally, not once. And the pay rise they got probably because of the Club World Cup and the Conference League. But dang it, they might be in trouble. Yeah. Big up to you two proper chats. Dan, nice to see you. Hope you and your family are all good, bro. I do hope you're doing well. Then I wanted to send you something that will help you create thumbnails. You don't have to spend money and optimize your stuff. Hit me up so that we can talk later. It looks like I have tons of comments to get to, but I'm gonna scroll past a lot of the comments and get to the very bottom. And but I'm gonna try to say hello to those of you that I haven't said hello to. How many mistakes these owners are gonna do, and sacking five or two where Enzo Maresca and Poch walk out? It's not good. They've been here 5 years now, and you couldn't, and you could count it. Not good. Houston. And I'm gonna say this. I've said this before. I'd rather work with someone who's made mistakes before. And realistically, if we're being truthful to ourselves, they're not going anywhere. Is it possible? Maybe it is. But what will it take for them to go? It would take them making nearly three times how much they as three times as can the money they put into the club, which realistically is impossible. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Nini on this one. I think he was the one that asked the question and he got into trouble. It's common sense, really. Realistically, even if, let's say, they can sell now, which will make a lot of fans happy, who's gonna pay how much you think they will be asking? Do you know how much they bought the club for? I think nearly £4 billion or so. If let's say they bought it for £3 billion, who's gonna pay £6 billion for Chelsea? Because I think they will want that much. Time, headache, and everything. I'm not sure how else to put it to you. So I'd rather, we're hearing that they will take corrective measures. And I think they will. Because do you think they're happy losing games and not being in the Champions League? If anybody thinks they're happy not being in the Champions League, losing games, not winning trophies, then that person is an idiot. I'm sorry. You could say they're idiots. They've made a lot of mistakes. You could say they don't know what they're doing. That's a sensible, you can argue to some extent, accurate argument. But what I like is when people speak, they speak objectively about the situation and not come out and say they don't want to win anything. It just doesn't make sense. And some people, when they say they don't want to win anything, they actually mean it. Not like saying such thing is driven by their anger given how badly we've done of late. But in all honesty, I will say this. It's not actually as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, but it's been bad. It's been poor. We've been suffering, and it's not okay. So we're all entitled to be really, really pissed, if I pardon that language, or mad at them. And rightly so, some people are name calling them. But I think Kukurea speaking out publicly changes everything. And this time, when they say they would take corrective measures by signing more experienced players, I believe them because Cole Palmer said it that he's spoken to. They spoke to him and Reese wouldn't sign a new contract if they hadn't spoken. If they hadn't sat him down, talked to him, and convinced him. Kukurea too spoke publicly, so that changes everything, and I believe they will make changes. So, and how do you guarantee that the next person that buys the club will be different? How do you guarantee that? There's no way to guarantee that. There's no way to guarantee that. How do you guarantee that the next person that comes in, even these guys, they showed intent with how much they spent on certain players. And certain players, they were willing to spend money for us to do well, but it turns out they did it the wrong way. And when the financial landscape of football changed, they took a proactive approach, which a lot of us knew at the time we need more experienced players to balance things out. They hadn't done that until of late, until they see how inconsistent having just young players it can be. I get it. They've won 2 trophies. That changes everything about them. But yeah, consistency isn't still guaranteed because we're still inexperienced. Again, given although to a considerable measure we now have an experienced squad, but we need more experienced players. So there's no guarantee the next person that buys the club will be different. We can protest, but protest objectively, protest sensibly, and get what we want, and not, you could say, worsen the relationship we already have with them by making them feel like they're stupid in the first place to have bought the club. They're idiots. They will double down because we're humans. Once you treat someone like that, in most cases, they want to, you can say, the person you're dealing with would want to prove to you that they're smart, even though sometimes they're not. So I think it's taking a player like Kukurea speaking up or speaking out publicly, and maybe Reece James don't take his silence of his stupidity, because for them to have convinced him to sign a new contract, or for the fact that Cole Palmer told us they've had a conversation with them, they probably tabled their concern to the owners, which would probably said the same thing that Kukurea said. And remember, when Kukurea said that, Reece James liked it. So they're all in tune. So I'm saying, let them take the corrective measures now come summer as they promised. Hopefully there won't be financial restraint to make it more difficult for us to take corrective measures, because that's a thing. So let them take corrective measures with just a few signings away. Honestly, the left-hand side, one more traditional 10, 2 CBs, or even one, it depends, because we'll find out, you can say, whether what's the Levi Cole, whether he comes back the same. So I don't want the risk of us, you could say, hell bent on changing the ownership and then end up falling into the you could say you could say into the hands of the worst an ownership that will be worse than the one we already have right now. So sometimes I think it's important to think logically. There's no guarantee that the next person that, you can say, a group of people that buys the club will be better than Blue Co. And I'd say, for me, you can call me an idiot or call me whatever you want. I'm better off us sticking with the owners we have right now that have made costly mistakes. That have made mistakes that have led to the fans calling for them to sell the club. I think we're better off sticking with them. They've made the mistakes. They've been there, done that. Let me add this. Learn from it. It's really that simple. But that's my opinion. All right, I'm going to scroll to the very bottom. Apologies to you all. I just cannot read everything we have. Tons and tons of comments, and a lot of people joining the conversation right now. Fundamentally Blue, nice to see you. And my bro Vic, much love to you. Always nice to see you. Although I hate reading your comment, because the first thing you would do is to have a go at me. But let's see what he's saying here. I see why you're doing your shows in the middle of the night. Your solution is to trust them. I haven't said trust them. I just told you in my mind. What do you think happens differently? It's to trust them. This is fascinating. No, I'm not going to let you. Instead, I will skip your comment. I'm not going to let you put words into my mouth. He says, my bad. No, yeah, but Big up, Dan. Nice to see you. I do hope you're doing well. I appreciate you finding time to join the conversation. Once again, that's something I think I shared on X. If you message me privately, I will send it to you. Will help you create thumbnail, optimize your videos, and all that. Uh, I'm gonna give it to you free, and once you sign up, I will increase your quota so you can use it. Give me feedback on how I can make it better. All right, let's go. Let's see if I can see go. You can say if anything new emerged as the show progress, and if you haven't, let's hear you. Who would you like to take over from Liam Rosenior? Let's hear you. It'd be interesting to see who you'd like to become the next Chelsea manager. Um, so let's see something here to read about. Xavi Alonso was everyone's dream manager barely a year ago. The move to Real Madrid has dented his CV. Just like Rosenior accepting the Chelsea job has dented his CV. Yeah, elevated Enzo Maresca's own CV. But anyone with actual football knowledge would have predicted that because Real Madrid didn't have a midfield that control and dictate games, they are also poor out of possession. So it was you could say a marriage destined to fail. What Xavi Alonso needed was support to make necessary changes, but he never had it. It was a Real Madrid being Real Madrid at worshiping big players. Yeah. And then Mbappe tried, you could say, to clear his name by the things he put out in the media and all that. However, for me, it doesn't. This is Vince's opinion, by the way. He reads, for me, it doesn't change how I feel about Xavi Alonso. He's still a good manager. Any club that will take and support him will be lucky. For me, he's a better manager than Vincent Company. The difference is that, yeah, Vincent, look at the tools he has to work with. Um, the tools, yeah, at his disposal, in my opinion, he's a better manager than Vincent Company. The difference is the club they both chose to go to. Xavi Alonso will win a Bundesliga for Bayern without a defeat in 38 games. He's that good. I think for me, I'd take him at Chelsea, and he has a good understanding of the English football, the Premier League. To be more specific, did really well at Liverpool. I take him really. Did well at Bayern to Real Madrid, and as a coach, yeah, with excuse me. Look how he won the Bundesliga. The squad, you can say he had an inferior squad, a squad that was inferior to Bayern Munich, but look how he won it in style. But that's by the way. I take him at Chelsea, but Fabregas for me a huge risk, and that's my opinion anyway. All right. Okay. Enough of Vince's opinion. We'll move on to see if anything new emerged here. This broke my heart. But let's see. This is attached to. Is it a Vince's opinion? Okay, that's Vince's opinion, but let's read that heartbreaking news. Estevao has already decided that he will not undergo surgery. Him and his staff are now evaluating an alternative treatment in Doha, Qatar. Rumors suggest that he might miss the World Cup. That's devastating news for me. I love the kid, and I would have loved him. You could say to experience the World Cup. I think that would make a whole lot of difference in his career as a player. I don't want Xavi Alonso. He's just what? I'd take Xavi. He's just a Spanish Liam Rosenior. No, he's not. The person that I fear, and I'm just happy he said that he's not looking to leave Como at the moment. He'd spend 26-27 season at Como. Probably because he's one of he's part owner of that club. Fabregas would be a huge risk for Chelsea. Maybe the owners should be the new manager. They have already been the sport directors. I really like that one. But yeah, unfortunately, we find ourselves in such a situation, and yeah, a very dangerous. All right, let's see what else do we have here. Imagine if Fabregas taking the Arsenal job. Fabregas is. I don't think they'd risk it. It's a huge risk. I get it. He's done well with Como, but hasn't proven anything that suggests you can say done anything that suggests he'd do well in the Premier League. I think hiring Fabregas wouldn't be any different. Can doesn't differ in any way to us hiring Rosenior, even Graham Potter. Really, yeah. All right, okay. Okay, Mod Man is speaking to Rich Money Makers. Well, Esteban, I hope he recovers. I would have loved him to experience the World Cup, but it looks like it's over for him. So let's see what Vince has said. He's quoting that particular. Vince says that the World Cup is not more important than his career. It is really a 3 or 4 tier. He better go and, I mean, go under the knife and get it over with. It's Don't do that. I think, was it James that did that? That you can say was reluctant to go under the knife and take care of the situation. I think a hamstring issue at the time, uh, but he let it did. He can force his way into the World Cup and pull the hamstring again in his first game. Besides, if it is not fully healed, he won't perform well. I don't understand the point of forcing himself to go to the World Cup in that state. It just doesn't make sense. Honestly, just go under the knife, deal with it once and for all, and you'll be okay. Honestly. Um, Chelsea's attacker always in the right place at the right time. All right, I feel bad for this kid. I love him so much. It's an unfortunate situation. I just hope. I'm not sure how. Again, I hope he just, you could say, accepts. Yeah, that this what the situation for what it is, and the importance of, you could say, going on the knife and taking care of the situation once and for all, really, rather than, you could say, focusing, you could say, pushing himself, forcing himself to experience the World Cup. And he's still very young. There's still a lot of work, a lot of he still has a lot of time to actually experience the World Cup, probably 4 or 5 times more. Oh, but why take care of the situation, man? I don't like that. Again, I don't. I'm not one of his advisors, and he's probably made up his mind to wait it out and see if it works out for him. Okay, I mean, that's fine by me. It doesn't matter. Chelsea need another rebuild. No, it's not gonna happen. We don't need another rebuild. We don't. Another rebuild. That's another 3 years of suffering. We're there. Just don't let our players, you can say, bail on us. Sign 1 or 2 CBs. Sign one left side attacking player. I think we'll be all right. Yeah, we'll be all right. If we have a manager that knows what they're doing, I think we'll be all right with those signings. Yeah, a rebuild. Dang it. I wouldn't do that. That's a huge, huge risk, and I don't want us to do that, really. And I don't think we'll do that. I don't think we'll see a rebuild. We'll see 1, 2, maybe three signings. I think at most, I don't think we'll be signing up to 4 players. And that's my opinion anyway. Let's see. As I told you guys before at the start of the show, we'll be seeing a lot of names. A lot of names. We'll be seeing a lot of names being mentioned, and some of them for me absolute horse dung. Uh, but yeah, it is the period. We need a manager, so big accounts on some new accounts that will be exploiting our vulnerability. Our situation. They'll be exploiting the situation, our emotions as fans who love the club. They'll be exploiting that. A lot of lies out there. For me, I'd say don't believe anything that Graham Belly says, but that's just me anyway. But for me, you'll be seeing a lot of names. Some of them I think you haven't heard, and we know. I don't think I don't see a world when Nagelsmann accepts the Chelsea job right now. I think he was interested in becoming our manager. I can't remember what time exactly, but the way he ended, some back and forth to some extent. His camp were releasing statements, something to the effect of, "How can you lose something you were never part of?" And some are suggesting that he wanted the Chelsea job, but Chelsea didn't like him and all that. I don't see him at Chelsea. So I think we have about 2 minutes more to round to get to round off. What Chelsea needs, and the directors too. I think they need to go. And I think, as Ibro said at the start of the show, this time they might be in trouble because yeah, I'm not sure why they still have a job for reasons I don't want to get into right now. That's my opinion anyway. John Terry says he's worried about Chelsea and questions whether the club can still attract top players. Are you not concerned? Is John Terry God? He's not God. Let me just put it that way. What John Terry says isn't final. And I'm going to say this again. Let me go back to the one about Chelsea not being able to attract good manager. I've explained that to, you could say, considerable length, saying that's a lie, blatant lie. There are a lot of managers that would be open to taking the Chelsea job, but some with conditions. Some will see it as an opportunity to prove that they're good enough. Some are, you can say, you can say some have the edge to cross, to break through that elite ceiling, elite, you can say elite level, and become elite managers. And we'll see the Chelsea job as an opportunity to do that. And I've named a few, but here's the thing: for me, this is a lie. If you're saying from the perspective of, you can say, salary structure, maybe, and we do pay well actually, but the question is, you'd have to accept a heavily incentivized salary. So maybe he's correct, but in my opinion, I think no, we can. The question is, are we gonna be able to compete from a salary perspective? We can. So if he's correct, which means we'll still be signing younger players, a lot of younger players actually, with hopes of a lot of them panning out well. But I think this time, I don't know who they're gonna go get, as they promise to balance things out with more experienced players. But we'll see. I listen. John Terry doesn't have the final say. I respect him as a club legend, but because he said this doesn't mean I should believe that's the case. I think on my own, yeah, he could be correct, but right now I'd say that's not correct. There are other factors. He had to let us tell us why that is the case. I can't just go by. He's telling me I worried about Chelsea and questions whether the club can still attract top players. Why is he saying that? Is it down to, you can say, us not doing well right now, maybe without Champions League football? Yeah, that's something a lot of people know. There are certain players that are not gonna accept your offer because you don't have Champions League football. So that makes sense. So context matters. You have to present it, but just going overall, no, it just doesn't make sense. In my opinion. Please don't compare Rosenior with Cesc. How are they different? Mention how they're different. I'm just telling you, hiring Rosenior, hiring Cesc right now, for me, won't be any different. He might well end. He could come and end up doing better than Rosenior, but he will hiring him would carry the same measure of risk. Yeah, Seski is a baller, which is something I've talked about. But people respect him more because of what he won during his playing days. That's the difference. As a manager, Rosenior is actually more experienced than him, even if you take away the Chelsea job. So, but the fact that he won a lot more as a player, I don't know if Rosenior won anything actually as a player, doesn't guarantee he'd do better as a manager than Rosenior did. It's a possibility, but it's 50-50. It could go either way. So, so if we're comparing them as players, then yeah, it's not close. Not even close. It's really that simple. I'll take Pep if we're going just by what they want as players. I'll take Cesc without looking back. Yeah, so I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. I think we're saying the same thing. It says I had a great, yeah, which I go rewind the show. I talked about that, which is why you can say based on his playing career, what he won in his career as a footballer, people respect him more than they respect Rosenior, because Rosenior, I don't think he won anything. I cannot measure up. Yeah, I agree. That is a big disrespect to says coach. Don't do that. No, you are misquoting me. As a manager, Rosenior is more experienced. Yeah. So I'm not sure. And I actually talked about what you're saying here. So you, I don't think you're putting me on the spot. No, you're just saying something I already talked about. And Pep's playing career is the reason why people feels like maybe he's going to be a better manager than Rosenior. It's a still hiring him would be also a huge risk. He's not that experienced. It's really that simple. So, but yeah, you're entitled to your opinion, bro, and I respect that. Says we need a good goalkeeper, one or two CBs, a traditional 10, and one player on the left. So around four players, I think would do. And we were actually two CBs away. Had we signed at least one CB last summer, I think we'd be better off. And the reason I don't complain too much, I think we had issues with UEFA. You can argue leading to us not having enough to spend, but again, we didn't spend wisely. It just seemed, as much as I think Gittins is a good player, I think we would have been better off signing a CB than signing Gittins. So I think we could have just plugged in players from the academy to fill in the left hand side. What do you think? Who is coming? I'm not sure who's coming right now, and I'm not going to give you any names because that's a huge, huge risk. Remember, every time we go through this sort of situation, you'll be seeing a lot of nonsense out there. Content creators exploiting the emotions of the Chelsea fans or the situations by design, actually. But let's see. Sporting directors, they got a pay rise, yeah. Probably you could argue because we won the Conference League and the Club World Cup. But I think they deserve to lose their job too. Vic says here, this is nothing to do with no, but the way you said it, as if whatever he says is final, is his opinion. Yeah, and you presented it as if maybe because John Terry said it, I should go with it. No, I don't operate like that. I know. I think critically. I don't just suck up to everything anybody says, irrespective of who you are. That is no difference from some club owners at the time when I was pissed that Thomas Tuchel was fired. They were saying that if I heard what Thomas Tuchel did, that I'd fire him too. And my response was just shut it. If you cannot tell me what he said, I still tell you that, yeah, you made a mistake firing him. And until you tell me what he did, and then I'll analyze and say, okay, if I were in your shoes, I'd fire him too. That's just anyway. I digress. The point I'm trying to make, I don't just suck up everything I say. I see, irrespective of who says it. His voice is his opinion. Exactly. You just said the same thing I said. That's his opinion. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. He's not making a declaration. What's wrong with you, Michonna? There, and we have a minute. I gotta go get my boys get ready for school. I could hear my wife screaming their names downstairs for them to come down and get ready. Liam Rosenior is a championship manager, and I think he's gone past that level. He did well in the French league, really, really well, actually. Yeah, he did really, really well there. And then what else we have? Rosenior didn't win any major. Yeah, I know that, and I did say that. Ty, nice to see you. I do hope you're doing well. I don't know how you do it because I went to bed early. If I didn't go to bed early, I don't think I'd be awake right now. But nice to see you, Ty, my brother. I do hope you're doing well. I appreciate you finding time to join the conversation. Comparing Fabregas' coaching career with Rosenior is diabolical. You needed to do a research before making such. No, here's the thing. Can we be honest? I'm going to say this. Once again, the way I said it, hiring Fabregas carries the same risk as that you say we're taking the same risk we took when we hired Rosenior. Nothing guarantees that he comes in and he does well at Chelsea. Nothing guarantees that. Nothing also we had no guarantee that what's his name? that Enzo Maresca would have no guarantee that he'd do well at Chelsea. It's 50-50. So what are you saying? I haven't compared them, but the truth remains, Rosenior, he has more managerial experience than Fabregas. Did I lie? Maybe I don't. I maybe when this Fabregas started coaching, maybe he is more experienced. He has managerial experience than Rosenior, and I didn't know. I'm willing to learn. Let me know. I don't know everything. So what are you saying? But even after saying that, I think people respect Fabregas more because of what he won as a player. And I've said this before. I'm not too sure about Rosinio's playing career. Whether he won anything as a player, I don't know, and I don't want to waste my time checking it. And I still let you know, Rosinio was the architect of his own downfall. All right, big up to you two. It's going to be Iraola, and just like Rosenior, he will not be respected by the players and fans. We need a guy with reputation in football. Rosenior had all the knowledge, so had Potter. How are you something that's going to be Iraola? There's a chance, maybe. I think I wouldn't mind Iraola, but I just don't want Marco Silva because I followed him long enough to know that he doesn't have that edge that it takes to cross over to that elite level. Yeah. He's capable of, you could say, nurturing the team to start playing as a unit, win games, surprise the biggest teams in the league. But yeah, our guy Gittins will be moved on. I don't think so. I think he's going to stay. Ganacha will move on before Gittins. What we have spent on the left wing, we could have bought a Rodrigo and a backup. We knew at the time that Rodrigo wasn't possible. He's already on a sort of salary that I don't think would measure. It was all rumors at the time. Well, again, all rumors at the time. We analyzed it and we knew he's not coming. This man is making me watch a show at 5 a.m. and still. I want you to get mad. I want you to get mad, Vic. I don't like you, bro. Fabregas, I take Alonso. Nagelsmann, I don't think. I think he doesn't have a good relationship with Chelsea hierarchy. I don't see that happening. The bare minimum we should do. Fabregas, no. Fabregas is still a huge risk. He's still a huge risk. I'm going to say this again. Listen, no, he's still a huge risk. Honestly, you have you watched follow his team? Pay attention to how they perform whenever they play against any pragmatic side, any side that you can say that play in a manner that yeah we're gonna play dirty and we'll see how you deal with it. It's all beautiful and all that. I think he needs more experience. It will be no different from the risk we took when we hire Rosenior. As much as I know he has the potential to become an excellent manager and his knowledge of football excellent, but it would be too early of a call right now, in my opinion. But I'm just happy he said he wants to stay at Como 26-27 season. I think they're gonna end up with no Marco Silva. I don't think they will hire him. If they hire him, in my opinion, Jesus Christ, that would be a huge mistake. And I've said I followed him long enough, even when he has his again certain we could say clubs where he had excellent players within his disposal. He's still tactical from a tactical perspective. He's still, in my opinion, lacks that edge that it takes. It takes to break through the ceiling, that you can say elite ceiling and become an elite manager. I don't think he has it in him. But again, that's my opinion. He could come and prove me wrong. Fabregas started coaching after his retirement from his playing career. When and where? Just calculate them. I need accurate numbers. I agree. I could be wrong, but from what I know, I think I think Rosenior has a much has you can say better coaching experience, has more coaching experience. That's an opinion. I'm not saying for sure that's the case, but convince me. I need to learn. I could be wrong. Rosenior actually had more coaching experience as first team manager than Enzo Maresca. That is before we hired that Maresca had before we hired him, as in being the top man at clubs. Yep, because Maresca was the Italian club where he had issues with them. Then Leicester City, then he was assistant manager. But Rosenior had been the manager at Hull City. Then the other one where he was at first assistant to Wayne Rooney. Then he became the manager there. Then Strasbourg. So correct me if I'm missing anything. I want to learn. I'm open. You know how we operate here. Yeah, always a debate, rarely a union. And that's what defines Chelsea perspective. Nagelsmann already said no. The truth remains, I don't think we reached out to him. That was a lie, and I think there was a subsequent report that said, yeah, Chelsea hadn't reached out to him, contrary to reports suggesting that we had reached out to him. And as I've advised you guys, I think we'll be seeing a lot of nonsense out there now, which are all lies. That's big accounts and content creators exploiting the situation. At big clubs, you need managers with personality to be able to deal with big egos. I agree. And reputation, more than knowledge and tactics, the history of football will back this. I agree with you, Jay. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. Again, I'm not arguing against it. And you know, I understand that. If you don't have that, then you'd have to prove to your players that you know what you're doing. If you don't have that, the slightest of dip in form changes how the players see you. Yep. But Rosenior, as I've said, the architect of his own downfall, he had an excellent start to life as Chelsea manager. Then the high of that performance, breaking a few records, a few record-breaking comebacks at Chelsea in the Champions League, nominated for the manager of the month, got into his head, triggered his ego, and then he felt like, yeah, you know what? If I could beat PSG, Luis Enrique's PSG, with a much inferior squad as the Strasbourg team, maybe I should be able to beat them with Chelsea my own way, leading to him dropping Robert Sanchez. We knew how risky that was, and we knew that could define the rest of his reign as a Chelsea manager, and it happened. And we've not been able to recover from that PSG battering. Cesc has been doing better than Rosenior. That's another argument as a coach. What are you saying? That's another argument. And experience doesn't necessarily mean, I'm not saying Rosenior is a better manager. Given what I know, and I'm waiting, I'm open to learn. I could be wrong. Rosenior has more coaching experience than him. I could be wrong. I'm not saying certainly that's accurate. And that's different from arguing who's a better manager. Cesc, his knowledge of the game is excellent. Tactically, from what I've seen so far, he has it. But that's no guarantee that if he comes to Chelsea, he'd become, you can say he'd be successful. It's 50-50. He could come to Chelsea and become the next Pep, because that's a first for everything. He could come to Chelsea and then tarnish, yeah, all the work he'd done at Como. There's no guarantee. But people, yes, and people respect him more because of what he won as a player, and how well Como plays. But have you watched them against a pragmatic side? So let's be honest here. That's the reason I don't want him now. As much as at first I didn't want Rosenior, but I looked at that. Okay, he's knowledgeable of English football. Maybe that will lead to him, you can say, being a bit pragmatic, to knowing what to do to succeed. But he was too arrogant for his own good. So I don't want Cesc, even if it's available. Honestly, you're taking a huge risk if you do that. But that's my opinion anyway. Fabregas was tax. Let's see. I like Iraola. He's proven to make something out of nothing, which we need. For me, I followed him long enough, and I've seen he has that edge to break through that elite ceiling and become an elite manager. And with squad out of again like us with a few signings, I think he can. I wouldn't mind the Crystal Palace manager. I wouldn't mind him either. He's a very he's an excellent tactical mind too. He's proved it too. So, but Marco Silva, I don't want him near Chelsea. I followed him long enough to know to believe, like, because yeah, that's just my opinion, to believe that he doesn't have what it takes to cross that elite level, to get to that elite level, irrespective of the club you give him. Let's see, what else do we have here? Just to call out, yes, Sesc is good, but question is the state of Italian football is terrible. That's one thing also to bear in mind. There's no guarantee he comes to Chelsea and becomes successful, but it's 50-50. It could happen. Maybe he knows English football. Maybe he's smart enough to know that if he comes to the Premier League, he needs to change it. You can say apply some measure of pragmatism to his approach to do well. All right, Marco Silva will struggle at Chelsea. The job is too big for him. I don't not necessarily about the size of the job, but I'd say what I know about him. All right, I want to say thank you to all of you for finding the time to join the conversation this particular morning. It's 6:19 a.m. CST. I appreciate you all. I cannot thank you enough. And we're getting closer and closer to 30K subscribers. And once we get there, we will find a way to put a smile on the faces of our fans. I love you, fans. You all have been great. I'm not sure how many likes today. I haven't checked in a while. I enjoy interacting with you. Unfortunately, because I'm human, there's no way I'd be able to read 21 likes, not bad, even though we hadn't streamed in a while before now. So I appreciate you all. We'll find a way, I digress there, to put a smile on the faces of our followers. We stopped doing the monthly giveaway for students. Hopefully, when we start streaming consistently again, to support our members who are students. All right, that's, by the way, what else do we have here? He says, I knew Rosenior was cooked, was when a coach said if he does this interview after a number of losses, then he's cooked. I just wanted him to shut up. I liked him. I think he's an intelligent, a good manager, actually, but his arrogance got him sacked, in my opinion. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to my bro, my Bass 05, MB05, and to my bro, Ibro Danwana Kake. God bless you for all the support. Thank you for remaining a member. Even when we stopped streaming for a while, you still remain a member. I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate your support. And also, thank you, Otis Maxwell. He deserves a chance. Ranieri was more experienced than Jose in 2004 when started. Nothing is wrong in taking it. I'm just letting you know that it's the same risk. But thank you, Otis. Who else was here? Mod Manor, thank you for doing a good job there. Jay was here. Jay, my bro. Vic, my bro, was also here. And if I miss your name, Ty also was here. If I miss your name, apologies. I'm only human. See you guys next time. God bless us all, and cheers.
Chelsea fans, we won't stop believing. No knock. With every chant and roar, we rise for the fight. The blue flag in the air, let it fly with pride. We're gonna show the world all hearts open wide. From Stamford Bridge to our voices to the light. We love for the team stand strong by our side.
Every challenge we will never ignore. In unity we trust. Our hopes on the rise. Chelsea spirit shines. Lights up the skies. And if a cowboy said for real does, and then with a love this storm, every phone's just there. And there was a strife. How you, my heart, keep the blue fading fires like a sword. Through every challenge, we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise.
Chelsea's spirit shines, bright lights up the sky. Chelsea fans, we won't stop believing. New knock with every chant and roar, we rise for the fight. The blue flag in the air, let it fly with pride. We're gonna show the world all hearts open wide. From Stamford Bridge, share our voices to the light. We love for the team, stand strong by our side.
Every challenge we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise. Chelsea spirit shines, bright lights up the skies. And if a cowboy said, for Iraola does, and then with a love this storm, every foe's estimate, there was a strife. You, my heart, keep the blue flame with eyes like we soar. Through every challenge, we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise. Chelsea's spirit shines, bright lights up the sky.
Chelsea fans, we won't stop believing. New knock with every chant and roar, we rise for the fight. The blue flag in the air, let it fly with pride. We're gonna show the world all hearts open wide. From Stamford Bridge, share our voices to the light. We love for the team, stand strong by our side.
Every challenge we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise. Chelsea spirit shines, bright lights up the skies. And if a cowboy said, for Iraola does, and then with a love this storm, every foe's estimate, there was a strife. You, my heart, keep the blue flame with eyes like we soar. Through every challenge we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise. Chelsea's spirit shines, bright lights up the sky. We
Chelsea fans, we won't stop believing. New knock with every chant and roar. We rise for the fight. The blue flag in the air, let it fly with pride. We're gonna show the world all hearts open wide. From Stamford Bridge, share our voices to the light. We love for the team, stand strong by our side.
Every challenge, we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise. Chelsea spirit shines, bright lights up the skies. And if a cowboy said, for real does, and then with a love this storm. Every phone says to bed, and there was a strife. How you, my heart, keep the blue fading signs like we soar. Through every challenge, we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise. Chelsea spirit shines, bright lights up the sky.
Chelsea fans, we won't stop believing. New knock with every chant and roar. We rise for the fight. The blue flag in the air, let it fly with pride. We're gonna show the world all hearts open wide. From Stamford Bridge, share our voices to the light. We love for the team, stand strong by our side.
Every challenge, we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise. Chelsea spirit shines, bright lights up the skies. And if a cowboy said, for real does, and then with a love this storm. Every phone says to bed, and there was a strife. How you, my heart, keep the blue fading signs like we soar. Through every challenge, we will never ignore. In unity we trust, our hopes on the rise. Chelsea spirit shines, bright lights up